Preservation Board and Design Review Committee. The board and committee meet monthly to review proposals for changes to properties located within the city's 7 historic districts and buildings designated as local landmarks, as well as to conduct other historic preservation-related business consistent with Article 11 of the Land Development Code. The board is made up of 9 Lakeland citizens appointed by the City Commission and is assisted by staff of the Community and Economic Development Department and the City Attorney's Office. The first meeting comprises the Historic Preservation Board agenda, where business of the board is handled, including recommendations of new historic designations. The second meeting consists of the Design Review Committee agenda and involves acting on recommendations from staff regarding certificate of review applications for major work proposed to properties within the historic districts or local landmark buildings. The Design Review Committee is a standing subcommittee of the Historic Preservation Board. Public input is welcomed for items on the Design Review Committee's agenda, and we invite everyone who wishes to participate to be heard. We ask that all speakers come up to the central podium and state their name and address for the record, and be concise in their comments. Thank you for your interest and participation. Please silence all mobile devices at this time, and with that, I will turn the meeting over to our chair, Mr. Chris Olson.
All right, thanks, Emily. So, the December 15th, 2022 meeting of the Historic Preservation Board is called to order. Let's take a roll call. I'm here. Melinda?
I'm here.
Lynn Dennis?
Here.
Landis Fleming?
Here.
Jeremy Moses?
Here.
Cesar Perez? Michelle Porter?
Here.
Oh, Michael Flores. I'm Michelle Sylvester. Sorry. John White.
Here.
Yeah, thanks. All right, so we have a quorum. Next item is to review and approve the October 27th meeting minutes.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes of October 27, 2022 as printed.
Second.
All right. Let's have a vote then. Aye for all who approve the minutes.
Aye.
Aye.
So we're good. Old business, status updating regarding the survey of the East and South Lake Morton surveys.
Yes, so our consultant has completed all of their data entry work for all of the data that they collected in the resurvey of both of those districts. They are working on creating Florida Master Site File forms for all of the properties that they surveyed. And they completed, well, I should say 200 of those Florida Master Site File forms were completed and sent to us as part of deliverable number 2 for that project. We've updated our status for the grant that we received with the state. So we're kind of meeting all those benchmarks is basically what I'm trying to tell you. And the next deliverable, which is the third deliverable, will be the draft survey report that is expected on January 13th. We'll be able to look that over, see their recommendations, see if there's any. We're hoping that there will be lots of new properties that we'll be adding to those districts. So I'll have that information for you probably at the February meeting.
Question?
Yes.
Does this mean then that the boundaries may change for certain districts as we move forward?
They were asked to survey any significant properties immediately outside of the boundaries for possible expansion, but expansion would take action, well, the Historic Preservation Board would need to recommend expanding the boundaries, and then City Commission would be the approver of that. But certainly that will be a recommendation in their final report that they give to us.
And right now on the south side, it goes to those properties that face Belmar on the south side of Belmar, right?
Correct. It includes both sides of Belmar.
I'll just add to that, you know, because that is a significant impact on somebody's property rights, we would probably want the property owner to agree to that. But I don't know if there's been any specific properties identified, but it would definitely be preferable if they agreed to it. It certainly makes the process a lot more difficult if the city's going to impact a property right like that against the will of the property owner.
Yes, and if that were a recommendation, we would certainly make an effort to contact those property owners to ask whether they consent. Even though consent is not technically needed from our ordinance, it has been the practice of the board to get an owner's consent before designating a property.
Does that, like the new properties that are within the district but that are now contributing, do we need to get consent of them, or is that already?
No, because they're already in the district, so they're already subject to the requirements of that designation.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
More update mid-century moderns and those kind of things, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any new business?
Yes, so I have some board member updates. Unfortunately, Michelle Sylvester has had to resign, so we do have her vacancy, and also, I don't know if John, if you want to mention anything, but Mr. White has also submitted his resignation.
Yeah, I'm coming to the end of my first 3-year term, but I am scheduled for an operation sometime next year, so I knew I was going to miss several meetings, and so I've resigned as well.
Yeah, and thank you, John, for your service, and we thank Michelle as well. I just wanted to, express my appreciation and just thank you again for your service. Really enjoyed it, and we will miss you. So going forward, we are advertising the 2 open vacancies. So hopefully we'll have, a couple new members in the new year.
Okay.
Good deal.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Emily. All right, anything else? Or we will adjourn. Okay, so motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second motion.
Next.
Forgot.
All right,
Aye.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Board is adjourned.
Okay, and then you or me. Okay, I know, right? It's like, wait a minute, ping pong, ping pong.
It's the season 11.
Hey, like to call to order the Design Review Committee meeting of December 15th, 2022. Let me check for members present. Myself present, Chris Olson,
Here?
Lynn Dennis, Landis Fleming. Here. Jeremy Moses. Here. Cesar Perez not here. John White.
Here.
Okay,
So we have a quorum.
we have a quorum. Thank you. We are going to, it feels like it's been a while since I've been here.
2 months.
2 months.
It has,
Yes,
okay,
give me
it
November.
has.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't, okay.
The statute of limitations ran out.
On memory here, yeah. First of all, are there any, on the meeting minutes, we'd like to ask for a motion to adopt them, or are there any questions on them?
I would move adoption of the minutes as distributed.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it passes. We're going into the review certificates of the administratively approved items, and were there any questions on that?
21 items, that's a lot.
Okay, and so those are all okay, so no motion required on that, and then we're going into the consideration of the certificate of review applications. We're going to start the public hearing portion of the meeting, and Emily, would you do your part?
No,
May we ask for
Oh,
the
city
city
attorney, oh, yeah, we got to.
to administer?
Boy, I can read today, okay, y'all?
And plan to present to the board, if you could please stand and raise your right hand. I'm going to administer the oath. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, our first one is HPB 22-088, 1022 Success Avenue. Final approval is requested for the installation of new siding on the house at this address and the relocation of one window. The owner applicant is Mr. Michael Mutz and Mrs. Annalee Mutz. Are there any conflict of interest from the board?
None.
I'm seeing none. Emily, would you do the staff report and recommendations, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Now we get to the end.
All right, so the subject property is located at the northeast corner of Success Avenue and McCrory Street and consists of 2 parcels with a total area of .32 acres. On the property is a single-family house in the Queen Anne architectural style that was built circa 1907 and is a contributing building in the South Lake Morton Historic District. The 2-story home features a gabled roof tower and a hipped roof porch that wraps around the south side of the house. The front porch is supported by tapered columns on brick plinths. Windows in the home consist of wooden double-hung sash windows with a 1/1 light configuration and wood casement windows with a 4 and 10 light configuration. This building is one of the oldest houses in the South Lake Morton Historic District, and its original and last use was as a single-family home. The house is currently clad in vinyl siding with vinyl soffit and fascia. The applicants have begun a major rehabilitation of the subject house, which includes removal of the side doorway and stoop, replacement of several windows, and alteration of the openings of 2 windows. This work was approved by the Design Review Committee in May of this year. During this meeting, the applicants mentioned their desire to remove the vinyl siding on the home and either restore the wood siding, if not deteriorated, or replace the wood siding with hardy lap siding, if their budget allowed, and the committee did express support for that work. So the current request confirms that the applicants wish to remove the vinyl siding and install new hardy lap siding with a wood grain finish. During exploratory demolition, it was found that the original wood siding underneath the current vinyl siding is deteriorated significantly. Therefore, replacement of the siding with hardy material is requested. In addition, the applicants request to relocate 1 window opening on the south side elevation 2 feet to the left or west due to structural and framing changes on the interior. The window opening will be the same size as existing and feature trim and casing similar to the existing. And this request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced here. Staff finds that the request to remove the existing vinyl siding and install new hardy lap siding to be consistent with the standards and design guidelines. Staff also finds that the request to move an existing window opening 2 feet to the left as specified by the applicants to meet the intent of the standards and design guidelines, as this window is on a secondary facade and does not damage the architectural integrity of the home. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions. Number 1, the exposure dimension of the new siding must not exceed 6 inches. Number 2, replicate all original window and door trim and casing, including corner boards and frieze boards if applicable, utilizing wood or hardy material in appropriate dimensions and profiles. And number 3, if a soffit and fascia is used, instead of exposing the eaves and rafter tails, wood or hardy material soffit and fascia should be used. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Would the applicant like to say anything in support of the request? If so, please come to the stand.
Hi, I'm Annalie Mutz, owner of 1022 Success Avenue. I believe this covers that we just want to replace the wood with the hardy lap siding, which was already in favor, and then we just need to move the window over 2 feet, keeping the original framing and casing to the window. We just need to move it over because of the interior framing. Now that's come to work, we have to make that room up to code, and so if we didn't move the window, the exterior would just show the drywall from the outside. So, yeah, I don't know if you have any additional questions, but those are the 2 requests we have.
Okay. Is there any public comment in support or opposition of the request from the audience? Okay, and any committee members that would like to ask any questions?
Annalie, do you guys intend to leave the rafter tails open, or are you going to close the soffit at the top?
I believe we're going to try to keep it exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No, just a comment, I applaud, and I'm sure everybody else does, your work on this. It's a great house, and it's a huge undertaking, so.
Thank you.
Emily, can you go back to the map overhead view?
Sure.
There's the window moving, you said was on the south side,
Yes.
Yes.
but it doesn't face McMurray.
It does face McRory.
It
Yeah.
does face McMurray. Okay, because I thought I heard that it was a secondary facade. to
It
that.
Well,
is
it's
a side
secondary.
facade, so we consider that a secondary facade, even though it does face a street. It's not the primary or front facade.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So it's on a corner, but it faces Success, and then the side is the McRory side, yes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a corner lot.
Okay, thank you.
Is that south side entrance going to be remained open, or is that being closed in?
We're closing it in.
Yeah, that work was approved in May.
I thought so.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, we are going to close the public comment portion of this and ask the committee for discussion to request any information.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the renovations with the staff recommendations.
Second. Any conversation about this? Okay, let's call for a motion. Or we can call the motion. Yeah, let's call for, if you approve, say aye.
No.
Aye.
Oh, no, it's at roll
Roll
call.
call.
We will get there, y'all.
It's the hat. It's the hat.
I'm in the Christmas spirit. I'm already out of here opening presents, okay? I mean,
We're loving it.
okay, myself, I, Chris Olson,
4.
Lynn Dennis,
For
Landis Fleming,
Yes.
Jeremy Moses,
4.
John White.
For the motion.
We are approved, and thank you very much. Okay, let's see. We are next going to HPB 22-206, 716 Mississippi Avenue. Final approval requested for the demolition of certain elements of the existing house at this address, as well as new construction of a building addition onto the front elevation of the house. The owner is Mr. Wes Graham and Miss Michelle Graham, applicant Mr. Tony Pagan of Platinum Constructions. Are there any conflicts of interest with the committee members? Seeing none, Emily, would you read the staff recommendations, please?
Yes, ma'am. The subject property is an interior lot of record consisting of 0.19 acres. And to recap from the conceptual review that we heard in October, this property contains a one-story single-family residence built circa 1925 in the frame vernacular architectural style, which is a contributing building in the South Lake Morton Historic District. The frame vernacular styling of the home is expressed by its gabled roof, rectangular plan, double hung sash wood windows with a 1/1 light configuration, and weatherboard siding. Alterations include modifications to the front porch and 2 small rear additions. The subject property was combined historically with the adjacent property to its south, 718 Mississippi Avenue. In 2010, the subject property was split from 718 Mississippi, with the accessory building at the rear of 716 Mississippi being recombined with 718 Mississippi in 2016, as the accessory building was built on the shared property line and encroaches into both properties. The current property owners purchased the subject property in 2017. And just to recap again from October, the images shown on the left is the Polk County Property Appraiser's aerial imagery, and on the right is the 1947 Sanborn map showing the properties as combined. The subject house has an existing area under roof of 1,499 square feet. The applicant's request proposes to remove the rear additions to make room for a future detached garage and parking area. The request also proposes to construct a new addition consisting of 1,153 square feet onto the front elevation of the home, which will comprise living space and a new front porch. The new total area of the house under roof will be 2,428 square feet. The new front porch will have a front gabled roof supported by paired square columns on plinths and knee walls. All original windows in the house are proposed to be replaced with new vinyl windows with a 1/1 light configuration. So the materials for the addition include a raised foundation to match the existing, hardy lap siding and window trim to match the existing, vinyl windows with a 1/1 light appearance, 6/12 pitch roof with metal roofing panels, hardy fascia and vinyl soffit, and the front porch will have hardy wrapped columns with a brick finish on the column plinths and the knee wall. The site plan for the proposed addition shows building setbacks that comply with the urban form standards in the Land Development Code, and a new parking pad is also proposed at the rear of the property. This request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced here. And in evaluating the request with the standards and design guidelines, staff finds that the requested removal of the rear additions does not disturb the spatial relationships that characterize the neighborhood, and that the essential form and integrity of the subject house is maintained. Staff finds that the materials proposed for the new addition and replacement windows to be appropriate and consistent with the design guidelines. To maintain the open eaves and exposed rafter tails present on the house, the eaves of the house and addition should remain open with exposed rafter tails, instead of enclosed with a vinyl soffit and hardy fascia. Staff finds that the location of the proposed addition on the front of the house conflicts with the standards and design guidelines. Typically, the front facade of a historic house is the primary elevation and that which exhibits ornamentation and architectural features, demonstrating its architectural style. To retain the architectural integrity and historic character of the front facade of contributing buildings, additions on the front facade are discouraged. However, the front facade of the subject house is not ornamented and expresses common architectural features, including a simply designed screen porch and, excuse me, and undivided light windows. The deep front yard setback of this house and overall simplistic architectural design suggests that the structure may have been an accessory dwelling when the house was constructed, and while the subject property was combined with 718 Mississippi Avenue. Additionally, the design of the new addition is sympathetic to bungalow and frame vernacular houses in the Lake Morton neighborhood and will result in a front yard setback that is more compatible with adjacent houses than the current building setback. For these reasons, staff supports the design as requested. In addition, the applicant has met certain conditions for conceptual approval. Specifically, they maintain the side gabled orientation of the roof at the primary front facade. The gabled front porch tied into the side gabled roof is acceptable. They used a simple square column on each plinth, or a pair of square columns on each plinth to reflect the frame vernacular style instead of a tapered column, which is typically found on bungalow houses. Plans for final approval have all the locations for all of the windows denoted. All new windows reflect a 1/1 light configuration to reflect the historic window pane pattern of the house. And they also removed the decorative or false beams in the front gable that were originally shown in the conceptual plan. Finally, the building setbacks for the new addition meet the requirements of the Land Development Code's urban form standards. So as such, staff recommends final approval of the request with the following conditions. Number one, the new siding must match the exposure dimension of the original siding. All trim and casing should be similar to that of the historic structure and include corner boards and frieze boards. Number two, new / replacement windows shall comply with the following requirements. A, windows must be recessed to provide a shadow line and not installed flush to the exterior wall surface. B, windows also must include historically appropriate trim, including header, sill, and apron. Number three, use open eaves with exposed rafter tails instead of vinyl soffit and fascia. Number four, use either flat panel 5E crimp or standing seam metal roofing panels. Number five, ensure that the front porch columns are properly aligned with the entablature beam and that a frieze board of appropriate width covers the entablature beam. And thank you, Madam.
Would the applicant like to speak in support of the request? Please come up. Thank you.
Morning, everyone.
And please state your name.
We came a long way, but I believe we've complied with all the staff and the board's recommendations on the last round. There's a couple of items that we would like to probably have a little bit of extended discussion. The owner would like to, instead of using...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you just state your name for the record?
Yes, sir. My name's Tony Pagan with Platinum Designs,
Thank you.
Platinum Construction.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to talk a little bit about the roof and also the exposed rafters. The owner would like to use shingles, black, dark shingles, instead of a metal roof. If that's acceptable, that would be the direction that they would like to go in. And they also would like to use a vinyl soffit instead of the open, exposed rafter tails.
Do we have a photo of the rafter tails? More so than two that we're seeing there?
You can kind of see them on the lower left picture.
Oh, yeah, you can see on the left. On the left and
Okay.
back.
They're pretty shallow. They're not,
Yeah.
And this is strictly a monetary decision. They've already they're putting a significant amount of money into upgrading this house to comply with the design guidelines. So we're trying to look at areas that we can hopefully get this cost down, and those two items would help. Of course, if it's still within the minimum design guidelines.
Okay.
But given the simplicity of the architecture and the fact that it was potentially an accessory building, how, this is just devil's advocate, how difficult would it be to accept a change to a soffit versus a rafter tail?
I would say, given past precedents in building new construction, the committee has allowed a soffit system instead of exposed rafter tails.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes, ma'am.
For all of us.
So from a technical standpoint, does that mean you're going to have the new trusses with it sit further up? Because I'm struggling to understand why that would actually save you any cost, because normally you just don't cover it. If you have exposed rafter tails, you have the truss manufacturer build the rafter tail into it, and you don't have to do anything else, you paint it.
Well, you have to add blocking. You have to probably finish the underside of that. With vinyl soffit, you just apply vinyl soffit up to the
Okay, so
with the
yeah,
angles
so
with the
the
bottom of the
plywood,
rafter.
you'd have the wood on the other side.
Yes, sir.
And you're trying to save that, okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then, of course, the metal roof go into shingles,
Okay.
architectural shingles.
The existing home has asphalt shingle seal roof.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, shingles would be acceptable per the design guidelines.
Okay. We're going to move to the public portion here. Any public comments from the audience or up here? Okay, seeing none, let's go to the committee members to ask questions in regard to this.
I want to ask a question of Emily. Are you saying that the columns should be square and not tapered? Or were you saying it's okay that they're tapered?
I was, per my recommendations from the conceptual review, I was saying that the square columns were more appropriate to the frame vernacular style.
Right.
Because tapered columns are more reflective of bungalows. So just keeping consistent with the current architectural style of the home, just going with a simple square column.
And that's fine with your clients?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I believe the plans submitted reflect that.
I
I think we have 2 columns, 2 columns on each,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and they're square.
they showed the square here, but the picture didn't.
Any
I think it
other-
notes it too, square columns. Yes, or square and non-tapered columns.
And you're gonna have 2 or 3 on that front,
2,
2 on each side.
yes, sir. Which also reflects it on the floor plan. With a low CME wall going around the porch.
Any other commentary on it? Any questions?
I know it was a commercial establishment that we dealt with on the red door, but I'm wondering, is the code going to require them to go up to a 42-inch rail on that front porch because it's more than 2 feet off the ground?
I can't answer that.
And at the red door, they just added a piece of metal above, but I
I
don't
think the
know.
minimum's 21 inches, is that right, Emily?
I
Yeah, I believe the minimum's 21 inches there.
I
the
think
steps may
because you're
reflect
further out of the ground, it may change it. But I don't know. That's a code issue, that's not our issue.
right.
It's also an insurance issue since I have a 2-step up to my front porch and had to put a handrail to be
Really?
covered by insurance. And just
Same here.
knowing what the
Thank you for
insurance
telling us.
market is doing,
Yeah.
just fair warning.
So that would be, you're talking about like a handrail down each cheek on the sides of the steps?
We were able to do a single side, but
Okay.
yeah, if it was more than.
But it's
But again,
not,
those-
it's not a code issue. If it's not a code issue, we really don't need to be dealing with this.
No,
It's a matter
this,
of
both of these are items that may come up to you, and in order to not have you come back, we'd like to just have the discussion about it. Okay.
The only other item here that just want to bring to your attention, Emily, can you go to the plan we submitted, please, the current plan?
This one?
Yes, ma'am. And then the top right corner of the site plan. That's going to be a owner-purchased tough shed. Tough shed and not a site-built garage.
In the back, you're talking about?
Yes, sir. If you look on the site plan, at the very top of the site plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the 2 cars are.
Is that a staff approval type?
Top right, keep on going up.
Keep going.
Right there. Yes, ma'am. Will that be something, I'm assuming that'd be something that we have to submit separately? I think there was some email discussion back. and
Is it smaller than 300 square feet or larger?
Oh, it's going to be larger. It's a 2-car garage.
Okay,
Probably
That's about
6
400.
that will need to come back
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
to this board. It's, yeah.
Okay.
So how much of this original house will exist when we're done, other than the wall facing the alley?
Essentially, the core.
Well,
Pretty-
all the interior walls and
Yes.
the exposed front wall will be removed and replaced, and the exterior side walls and rear wall, we probably will be rebuilding. I'm assuming it's probably in some sort of dilapidated state possibly.
You can see.
So our intent is to upgrade it to current standards. This will be a level 3 modification.
Yeah, this was never original anyway. Yeah, that was your south wall before.
Any other commentary from the board? Any questions? Okay. If we can call for a motion, that's our next step.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the plans per staff recommendations with the exception of adding, excuse me, shingles instead of a metal roof, and approving the enclosure of the soffit and fascia.
Second?
Okay, we'd like to call for a roll call. Myself, approve. Chris Olson,
Approve.
Lynn Dennis,
For the approval?
Jeremy Moses,
4.
and John White.
For the motion. We can look down.
And-
I didn't get to vote.
Oh, yeah, Landis.
I always forget you.
Did you have an early New Year's party?
Me and my coffee just got up. Okay, was that a 4 or I didn't hear?
That was a 4.
That was a 4. Okay, you are approved and there we go.
Thank you, everybody. Also, to extend what Ms. Emily said earlier, Mr. White, not only does the staff, but also the city will miss you. So you've always been a fair and also enjoyable voice for the city. So we thank you, and good luck on your surgery.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now let's see if I can get one of these correct from the get-go. We are moving to HPB 22-239 1911 Pawnee Trail. Final approval is requested to construct a semicircular driveway and expand the existing driveway. Owner is Mr. Jim Galatko and Mrs. Alicia Galatko. Hopefully I pronounced that right. The applicant is Mr. Kyle Davis and Joe Goldsmith Construction. Emily?
Oh, can we ask for conflicts?
Oh, any conflicts
Thank you.
on the board? Seeing none. Emily?
Alrighty. So the subject property is an interior lot of record consisting of 3 parcels that total 0.46 acres in size. On the subject property is a 1-story house built circa 1940 in the masonry vernacular architectural style, which is a contributing building in the Beacon Hill Historic District. The request proposes to construct a new semicircular driveway within the front yard of the subject property and connecting to the existing driveway located on the north side of the property. The driveway is proposed to be concrete in material and will be 10 feet wide. The driveway will require a new curb cut along Pawnee Trail and a concrete apron. Additionally, the applicant wishes to increase the width of the existing driveway to 20 feet. This driveway provides access to the existing 2-car garage on the property, and connecting to the expanded driveway, the applicant also proposes to install a new concrete walkway, which will be 5 feet 6 inches wide and extend along the north side of the subject property. And this request was evaluated using the standards and guidelines referenced here. So staff finds the request for the semicircular driveway to be consistent with the design guidelines in design and material, as the guidelines allow for semicircular driveways in the Beacon Hill Historic District, where the width of the subject property can reasonably accommodate the placement of such a driveway. This driveway will be appropriately connected to the existing driveway. And with regard to expanding the existing driveway, given the precedence of wider lots and driveways for 2-car garages within the Beacon Hill neighborhood, as well as the past actions of the Design Review Committee to allow driveways up to 20 feet wide for certain new residential construction projects, staff finds expanding the existing driveway to a width of 20 feet to be appropriate in keeping with the character of the Beacon Hill neighborhood. Additionally, the Design Review Committee approved a request similar to this for 1905 Pawnee Trail in August 2022, which is the property just next door to this one. So staff recommends final approval of the request with the following condition. Number 1, that the apron flares for the new curb cut and driveway apron be limited to 3 feet for each, 3 feet each, for the new curb cut. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Would the applicant like to speak in regard to the request?
Good morning, Kyle Davis, representing Joe Goldsmith Construction, 3240 North Galloway Road.
Thank you.
I don't really have anything to add other than Emily's thorough analysis.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
We have, do we have any public commentary from our non-existent public? Are there any opponents to this? Okay, well, you know. And then let's call the committee members. Are there any questions from the committee?
Yes, so we're going to have flares on the apron at the smaller driveway, circular driveway. It just didn't indicate that on the yellow.
Yeah, I think that's just that's a limitation. Is that correct? Or are you saying that's a requirement?
That's a requirement, or that's a recommended requirement.
Recommendation to not have it straight out the way it's drawn?
Right.
You're talking about on the expansion or on the smaller part, on the 10-foot
On the
part?
small,
On the little 10-foot part.
So you recommend that it has a 3-foot flare?
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, for the existing driveway, I didn't make a recommendation for the flares because you would just mimic whatever is currently existing.
right. Okay. And that's not a problem.
But for ease of getting in and out
Right.
and not killing your tires, that flare is very helpful.
Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. And we can revise the
And
plan.
actually, that's included, would be included the way one is stated, would it not? Apron flare should be limited for the new curb cuts. Just
Yeah,
add
so it would be
yes.
on both of them.
That makes sense.
Appreciate the call out because I was reading this previously thinking, didn't we already review this?
Yeah.
It's like the neighbor, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that little piece of concrete right up against the house, was that providing any type of function? It looks like you're gonna be pulling that out as part of the construction.
I believe it's where they keep their trash cans. I think either that, I don't think it's the AC pad.
No, it looks empty to me.
Emily, can you pull up the picture from going down the side of the house?
So they're swinging the cans around to the side of the house?
Yes.
now? Okay.
Okay.
I think we had another picture that I didn't get submitted, but I think that showed the cans on the side of the house, just further up towards the corner. And that pad will just keep it further back from the front.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Where the brick turns and you're now proposing to do it in concrete back towards the house, is that an access to the basement or something, or under the house? Or that's where the cans are gonna
Yes,
sit?
that's where the cans are gonna sit.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other discussion, questions, info from the board? Okay, would like to call for a motion.
Move for approval with the addition of an S on cut.
New curb cuts.
And so one more question. So those, the dimensions on the arch, those are just dimensions, those aren't brick lines or anything like that?
Correct, that's
right?
just saying that it's gonna be 10 feet, the 10 feet in wide. the whole
Okay,
way.
gotcha. All right.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, the motion.
Okay. Myself, approve. Chris Olson,
Approve.
Lynn Dennis,
For the motion?
Landis Fleming.
Yay. Four.
I didn't forget him. Jeremy Moses.
For the motion.
And John White.
For the motion.
And the motion is approved.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you, thank you.
I move adjournment.
Second?
All in favor? Any opposed? Oh, I don't know.
Those can just sit here.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, thank you. And
Happy holidays.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays.